Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is a minion Beastmaster build that will be based around having 6 wolves that do ice bite and are ice built for ice damage. Now the reason that this is going to be such a good build is that we're going to be dual wielding the Eulogy of Blood, which is a new unique raider axe that adds melee cold damage to you. It adds minion melee cold damage up to 15, actually up to 16 points, and you can have 2 of them for a maximum of 32 more minion melee cold damage, which is a lot of cold damage for them. It also gives you a 100% chance to bleed on melee hit for each one that you have on. It increases the bleed duration, and then it also casts Rip Blood at up to 5 nearby targets on melee hit, and since you're wearing 2 of them, I'm pretty sure 2 will proc, but since I can't spec into the Rip Blood skill tree on the Primalist, it's hard to give it an effect that would show me exactly how many are going off. But you gain a lot of health back from each Rip Blood, and so they also have critical strike chance on them, so you're going to stack this with aspect of the shark and aspect of the lynx, and that's going to allow you to get massive amounts of attack speed and melee damage, and your ice wolves are going to go crazy. They're going to get insane numbers with attack speed, and then at the same time they're going to be doing almost as much damage as you are individually with all the new boosts that they have. All that added cold damage on top of the fact they have a 40% damage and DR buff for you being level 100. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills. First skills, I'm running Swipe, Summon Frenzy Totem, Summon Wolf, Entangling Roots, and Warcry. For Swipe, I have 5 points in Way of the Hunt, 4 points in Wagarian Reach, 3 points in Aspect of the Panther, 1 point in Wild Calling, 1 point in Feline Hunter, 4 points in Ambush, and 4 points in Apex Predator. For Summon Frenzy Totem, we have 2 points in Rapidity, 5 points in Beast-Style Frenzy. Now all this melee physical damage is normally just melee physical damage for wolves, except for when they Ice Bite. So on every attack they do that's actually an Ice Bite, it's converted to cold, so it really boosts the amount of cold damage that they get. 5 points in Lead the Pack, 4 points in Grounded, 1 point in Dig In, 2 points in Dig Deep, and 1 point in Totem Reach. For Summon Wolf, I have 4 points in Savage Hunters, 4 points in Legendary Bite, 1 point in Victory Howl, 2 points in Snarl, so that you'll get 100% more melee damage after a Howl, 3 points in Tundra Stalkers. This does 2 things. It adds cold damage and it converts your wolf into a cold tag, so they now increase their cold damage, with increases to minion cold damage, which is very useful. 4 points in Frozen Fangs for a 40% chance on every attack they do to have an Ice Bite chance. Ice Bite damage is 100% increased, it has 100% more radius, and all damage for Ice Bite is converted to cold, so all that added physical damage you have elsewhere is all turned to cold damage whenever this happens. Now Ice Bite is going to give your wolves basically AoE, and they're going to go nuts with it, and they can clear the whole screen for you really fast. We have 1 point in Winter, and that's to unlock the 1 point in Pack Hunter, so that we can have +1 maximum companions. This allows us to get to that 6 companion limit. For Entangling Roots, Roots is there to heal or to give more damage and attack speed to your companions or your wolves. We have 4 points in Nourish to be healed, 1 point in Bountiful Harvest for more healing, 1 point in Mana Bloom for some mana back, 3 points in Fleeting Grove for that mana efficiency, 1 point in Grove Master for more area, 3 points in Imbued Sap for that 90% increased damage that'll affect all your allies and yourself, 3 points in Venomous Pack for poison chance, 2 points in Frenzy Roots. This is so they get 36% attack speed and move speed, which is a nice buff, and 1 point in Memories of Spring, so when they run out of roots they still get the buff for 3 more seconds. And then for Warcry, now there's been some talk about Warcry. I saw in the chat that people were saying Warcry absolutely sucks, it doesn't help your companions at all. There's actually a few things in here that synergize really well with your companions. One, if you're running a raptor or a bear and you give them the berserker buff, they get even more crazy. I've been seeing the raptor do just absolutely crazy damage, and we'll have a solo raptor build coming in the following days. There's also what helps your Ice Wolves, and one of the reasons why I wanted to build in this. Not only did the dual Eulogy of Bloods give our companions a whole bunch of melee cold damage, But there's points in here to give your companions increased cold damage, which is just a huge buff. So I have 1 point in Deep War, 1 point in Jomon's Wrath, and then I have 4 points in Frostclaw. So when I use Warcry and it hits my wolves, they now gain 200% cold damage for 4 seconds. Then with 1 point in Bringer of Winter, they also get 100% more crit chance and 100% chill chance, which is huge. Now this only affects you and your cold companions, which means Sabertooth, but it also means your wolves if you've taken the Tundra Stalkers, which is the node inside Summon Wolf tree that adds the cold damage and converts them to that cold tag to be able to scale with cold damage. We also have 1 point in Juggernaut, 1 point in Berserker, 4 points in Brutality, 2 points in Fury Strikes, 1 point in Staggering War, 1 point in Kinetic Scream, 2 points in Shredding Howl, and 1 point in Shallow Breath, so that we can cast it every 5 seconds and give them the buff for 4 seconds. So you have 80% uptime of the buffs for the cold damage, crit chance, and chill chance for your companions. And then for passives, I have 21 points in the Primalist base class, with 4 points in Gift of the Wilderness, 4 points in Natural Attunement, 1 point in Primal Strength, 1 point in Harmony of Blades, 5 points in Hunter's Restoration, 6 points in Survival of the Pack. Then I have 5 points in the Druid, with all 5 points in Blood Claws. This gives you physical damage leech and physical penetration. This is to unlock the Entangling Roots. 0 points in the Shaman and 85 points in the Beastmaster, with 6 points in Ursane Strength, 3 points in Savagery, 1 point in Ambush, 4 points in Lamprey Teeth, 4 points in Boarheart, 1 point in Porcine Constitution, 1 point in Primal Strength, 5 points in Axe and Claw, 4 points in Hunters of the Deep. Now this also gives the minions that 10 physical melee damage that is also converted to cold on Ice Bite. 5 points in the Circle of Life, 1 point in Dragon Slayer, 8 points in Ocean Maul, 1 point in Feeding Frenzy, 10 points in Primal Aspects, 4 points in Avian Shelter, 8 points in Viper Fangs, 1 point in Force of Nature, 6 points in Serrated Claws, and 5 points in Critical Bite, with the last 10 in Primal Aspects. I think I already said that, but either way, it's there. And then for items and idols, so the idols we have increased aspect of the lynx and aspect of the shark. Now you can also do a 2x2 that gives minions more melee attack speed. If you have problems with their survivability, which with their new DR buff and the fact that they're leeching really well, you shouldn't have that. But you can also get leech for companions. You can also get dodge for companions, and you can also get healing effectiveness for minions so that your Entangling Roots will heal them even better. And then for the unique, so we are wearing 3 different types but 4 uniques total. So we have the Eulogy of Blood, which if you haven't gotten this yet, I definitely recommend you go farm the empowered version of Forsumus a bunch of times until you get it. Forsumus is that boss that you can, it's kind of bugged out to where if you just leave the battle after the battle, you can go right back into the battle without having to rerun echoes. Until a certain point, you'll lose 4 echoes each time, but you'll be able to get a couple of these relatively quick. Now these add melee cold damage, minion melee cold damage, give you a 100% chance to bleed on melee hit, they increase your bleed duration, and they have a chance to cast Rip Blood at 5 nearby targets on melee hit with a 3-second cooldown, and they give you health gain from Rip Blood. Now the moment you see Rip Blood, you're automatically thinking Acolyte. And it's true, it's what I thought. I went and ran a Necro build with it. You can't dual wield on the Acolyte, so you only get one of these. However, you can dual wield axes on the Primalist. So I decided let's go Beastmaster and use all that minion melee cold damage. We went with Ice Wolves, it synergized with Warcry, and so we got a build that does a lot of damage. And what's nice about this is you do cast the Rip Blood. Of course you obviously don't have the specialization tree, but having 2 of these is huge because it has a lot of minion melee cold damage. And for you, it's still a lot of melee physical and melee cold damage, so you're still doing good damage with Swipe. 2 stacks of bleed on every hit due to these. The duration on them is at 70%, up to 80% the max. And then of course you get all that life every time that Rip Blood goes off and hits all those nearby enemies. Now I don't know if you actually get if they have separate cooldowns between the 3-second cooldown for the casting of the Rip Blood. It's hard to tell. I don't have a specialization tree to see how often it's really proccing. It's very hard to pay attention, just the little red dots that you see. However, it is a very effective build, and it's definitely bringing the damage of your wolves up quite a bit. And I will try the Sabertooth in the future, but for right now, 6 wolves is really potent. Then we have Ardor's Legacy for that +1 maximum companions, more chill duration, you have chill on melee hit, and then you have increased attack speed. We have the Fang, so that we have more melee physical damage for the minions. They can't be stunned, and you can summon the maximum amount of them up to your companions. This also gives you a bit of health. Then for the crafted items, we have a Shamanic Carb with added minion melee crit chance, minion melee damage leeches health. That's going to really boost their survivability. Then we have physical and poison resistance. We have 2 gold rings with Dex, increased critical strike chance, poison resistance, and endurance threshold on the right. On the left, we have minion damage, minion dodge rating, void resistance, and endurance. For the belt, we have physical damage, dodge rating on potion use, dodge rating increased, and endurance threshold. For the gloves, we have minion damage, melee attack speed, dodge rating, and percent of damage leeches health on hit. We have Heoborian boots with movement speed, minion dodge rating, increased dodge rating, and flat dodge rating. And then we have the Woad Antler, I probably pronounced that wrong, oh well, which gives you melee cold damage and minion melee cold damage. So it's even more flat damage for than you could get before. And on it we have +2 to swipe, we have some minion health regen, necrotic resistance, and percent of damage leeches health on hit with increased health leech. For the character sheet, we have almost capped resistances. We were still kind of looking for a better ring. We were going to switch out on our left ring that endurance percentage, and on the right ring the endurance threshold for some more lightning and fire damage. You could take one idol off and throw on a couple of elemental resist idols to cap if you want. However, we were doing just fine without it. We have 18% armor, only 8% dodge. We built into dodge a little bit, but then we switched around our passives and we weren't built into it as much. We were at about 40% dodge before we reduced it. Alright, and then for how to play the builds, what I do is I like to put the Wolves and the Frenzy Totem on auto cast. This is going to keep your Howl going, this is going to keep the Frenzy Totem going, and then I like to just have, you know, Entangling Roots and Warcry be the ones that I cast. You can put Warcry on auto cast if you want, and it'll go off every 5 seconds. However, I like to try and use it right before I'm about to attack something, so that I know I'm going to get the Berserker buff, as well as the Wolves are going to get the bonus to all that cold damage and increased attack speed. And then if you have them attack just like this, you'll notice that they can do over 5k damage hits. And then if you give them Entangling Roots, that damage is going to be boosted even a little bit more. They're doing 6 to 7k. If you give them the Entangling Roots and the Warcry buff, you'll notice that their damage is hitting for up to 10k, you know, even over 11k, 12k. Once they have all those buffs going, they can hit really, really hard. Now, remember, that's just their damage before you have any stacks of aspect of the shark. Now they're already attacking fast just as it is. Now once you get in there and you're attacking and you get the aspects of the shark going, they start getting added melee damage, they start getting attack speed. You have all of that building up, so they're attacking faster and doing more damage. And against bosses, this stacks up a lot. So against the training dummy, obviously we only get up to 2 stacks of aspect of the shark. However, when you get to the bosses and you get 40, 50, 60 stacks of it, your damage is so incredibly high that the bosses just absolutely melt incredibly quick. And you can see that this ice bite damage is actually relatively large, so you're actually getting a lot of damage with it. Alright, let's go ahead and get into some gameplay.